In the history of missed assignments, this is the biggest miss I've ever seen. In what was supposed to be an apology to his financial victims, only a fraction of them got mentioned, and only a fraction of the time he spoke was spent on them. Instead of getting their long-awaited apology, they had to sit there and listen to him praise Buster, his brothers, father, granddaddies, law partners, and even Maggie's parents, all with his characteristic sniffing, snorting, lip-smacking, and chewing. What a disgusting spectacle. They came for closure, but instead were victimized once again by his long-winded drug excuses, attacks on SLED, denial of the murders, and having to hear "Pawpaw" again. This guy knows no shame and no bottom. There's a whole lot to unpack here, and my regulars know I will deep dive every bit of it. So today, it's just a quick breakdown of what he spent his time talking about in this statement. If I were one of his victims coming for closure, I'd be walking away madder than I came in, instead of feeling a weight off my shoulders. In fact, I don't know why there wasn't a mass exodus halfway through this speech. I would have walked out and returned for the court's decision. I couldn't have sat through that. They didn't go there to hear Buster and Randy praised and defended. They went for closure and apologies, but they're mostly walking away empty-handed. This is such an Alex apology, and though he named most of his family members, he didn't even bother to name each of his victims. Why? Why didn't he take the time to acknowledge each and every one of them and give each victim a personal apology? It's so disrespectful. Instead, he used this moment to talk about haters, to defend Buster, to try to rebuild the reputation of his family and his ex-law firm. Let's break it down real quick here. He starts off okay, actually. You almost believe him for a moment.
I want each of you that spoke to know that I listened to you, I heard you, your pain and your hurt is palpable. I get it, it's reasonable, and I promise you that it resonates with me. I understand it. I hope that the time will come when you can look back and know that despite the things that I did, that I care about each one of you. Because I do. I did terrible things. Each of you placed your trust in me. I was very proud of that. And I'm still today honored by that fact that I deceived each of you. Terribly. I did terrible things. Things that thinking about right now caused me to be hurt, caused me to be disturbed. I mean, it is so important to me that you know how bothered that I am by the things that I did. I mean, that's important to me. After hours, days, weeks, months of self-reflection, I know now that I took more and more and more pills because I was hiding, or attempting to hide from the reality of the things that I was doing to all of you. I do care about each of you. I have special recollections of my interactions with each one of you outside of the terrible things that I did. JJ, I felt as close to you as anybody. I still do. As anybody I can think of. We grew up together. And JJ, we hunted and fished together, alone, all over the low country. I mean, I think we've talked to each other about everything that's important to both of us. And man, I hate the things that I did. Our daddies were the best of friends. I mean, I mean it. When I say that I care about you, as hypocritical as that seems in light of the things I did, it is so very true. I did care about each of you, and I still care about each of you.
He spent 3.5 minutes talking to Jordan. He used that time to also lump in Dion Martin and Jamie and Risher.
There's so many others that aren't here today that I hope will listen or be listening one day, like Dion. Dion's daddy, one of my dearest friends. I can still remember going to Dion's graduation, spending time with him. One more thing, JJ, going back, I do want to tell you as to how close I feel to you. My wife loved you, and you are absolutely right about everything you said, but you are dead wrong about one thing, and I would never hurt Maggie, and I would never hurt Paul. And it is important to me that you know that. Because she did love you. And I hope you know that. And I hope you know that I mean what I say here today. Jamie, Risher, man, Damien's uncle and daddy were as close to me and my daddy as people can be.
Next, he had to address Gloria's family, and he did so for 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
Tony, I went to elementary school, middle school, high school with your aunts and your uncles. Ginger, how many classes did we have? I mean, I've grown up with you guys. I mean, Tony, you and Brian and Gloria are like a part of my family. And I mean that as hypocritical as that sounds, and me saying it, as hypocritical as it sounds, is the absolute truth.
But even in that, he had to get in that dig that he and Maggie raised his boys with help from the grandparents. It wasn't Gloria.
That does bring me to a point, and I will say that I say to Mr. Mr. Bland, Maggie and I raised our 2 boys with input from her mom and dad and input from my mom and dad. But we are the people who raised those boys, and us alone.
With the help of my sister.
Now,
This was not the time to dispute this. It came across like an attack on Gloria. He could have just acknowledged all she did for his family and apologized, but no. This was about his attempt to clear things up that he thought needed clearing.
with that being said, Eric, with that being said, there is no person, period, that was more important to my family than Gloria was. To all of us. To me, especially to Maggie, to Paw. Lord knows he adored her. And I hope you know that. And Buster. And me too. I adore her. And I am so sorry. So sorry for the things that I did. And it is important to me that you know how sorry I am for the things that I did to each of you.
He also kept saying, it's important to me that you know, blah, blah, blah. What about what was important for them to hear? This wasn't about what was important to Alex. But in his mind, this wasn't about the victims at all. This was his moment to speak about things that have been bothering him since the beginning of all of this. So like I said, 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Not even a minute for each $1 million he stole from her family. And if I seem a little bit too angry and not giving him enough credit, I recognize that here in the beginning, he does do pretty well with some of the things he says. I'm angry because I saw the whole thing. I saw how it wraps up. And at a certain point when he's speaking, it just really takes a turn for the worse. Then he spends a minute speaking about his law firm, followed by going back to the victims in general for another 1.5 minutes.
All my law partners. There's no guys. I mean, Danny looking at you here kills me, knowing what I did. I mean, you guys, you shared every facet of my life with every member of my family. And you are my family, Danny. 2 things today that are most important to me is making sure that you do understand that I do care about each and every one of you. Number 1. And number 2, that I am so sorry and that I hate and am so bothered by the things that I did. And this brings me back to the text that came out in trial that I believe I sent to my paralegal, Christy, as I became better and less sick in rehab. One of the things that bothered me was knowing how I hurt the ones I love the most, the worst. And you all are included in that sentence. I hope you know that.
But he doesn't bother to address them by their names. So what does it mean to them? The ones who actually had the courage and the strength to show up there in court. Some of them didn't feel strong enough to actually speak to him directly, but coming there was brave. Coming there was difficult. knowing they were going to be on TV for the whole world to see, had to have been hard, but they did it, and he couldn't even speak their names. Because he was sort of rambling, he comes back to the Satterfields again for another minute and back to Jordan Jinks for 10 seconds.
Tony, Brian, when I decided to make up the story and the claim about the dogs and Gloria, I did it with good intentions of helping you. I am so sorry that those intentions very quickly became selfish. And I am so sorry that I continue to involve you in my actions. And I am so sorry for everything that you, and I want to make sure the whole family knows that I am so sorry for everything that you have been through. And JJ, I really want to take you up on your offer.
Alex is a people person who can't sit still or be quiet. He's hungry for friendship, connection, and conversation. He's really hoping to rekindle something here. So, of course, Jordan was his first move because Jordan was the only person in the courtroom showing emotion and feeling towards him. And he wanted to capitalize on it. Before generally inviting all of his victims, and he spends 2 minutes and 40 seconds, to come and see him, to talk to him one-on-one.
You proposed earlier, but I also hope that in time that each of you will be willing to talk with me, because I would like, as time moves on, to continue to reiterate just how sorry I am and just how important it is to me that you know that. So I'd like for you to think about it.
Which I doubt they want that invitation. But he did in this time frame. I feel like this is the only moment where he said something that could hopefully bring them peace.
Despite what was said in this courtroom today, I can tell you that through my attorneys, I have been asking for a plea offer since the very beginning. The very beginning. I formally pled guilty within 2 weeks of receiving the very first plea offer. That was in this courtroom however many days ago. But I formally pled guilty within 2 weeks of receiving the very first plea offer. And you've heard a lot of talk about the sentence, and I will tell you that the sentence that I'm agreeing to is harsher than I wanted. It's certainly harsher than I had hoped for. I will tell you that while I am pleading guilty for a number of reasons, all of which I believe are valid, none of those reasons is more prominent than my hopes that seeing me punished will help each of you heal and begin to be able to put this behind you. Because I can see it. I mean, I can see, I can feel, I know what you've been through. I don't know it, but I sense it. And I am so sorry.
Now, if only he'd stopped there. But no. After spending only 16 minutes so far in a total of 50 minutes, he starts to go off the rails. Up to this point, he's given his victims 14 and a half minutes, because we have to subtract the minute and a half he spent on his law firm. Up to now, he's mentioned 4 of his victims by name. And I felt especially angry for Miss Pinckney, who, as we all know, is in constant, severe pain, still having procedures done to put together her broken body from the crash all those years ago. We know how uncomfortable court benches are. They're hard on a healthy body. But she stood up, she faced him, and he didn't speak a word to her. Not one word. Shame on you, Alex. If that's not bad enough, he now goes on to Buster. 6 minutes and 20 seconds telling him how proud he is of him and condemning the haters. I was flabbergasted.
Now I want to talk to a few different people. I want to start with Buster. Buster. I am so sorry that I let you down. I am so sorry that I have not been able to be with you during such hard times. I am so sorry that I did so many things that are so contradictory to every single thing Mom and I ever taught you and Paul. I am so sorry. I am so very sorry that the things that I did and that I am pleading guilty to here today have somehow caused some people, especially people on social media, and some people in the media, to somehow believe that based on the things that I did, that it is somehow okay to make false, baseless, unsubstantiated claims against you that are not only based on no facts and no evidence whatsoever, but are also not based on any semblance of reality whatsoever. And I am so sorry that you have had to go through that. I know, Buster, that you know that I have always been proud of you. I have never been more proud of you than I am for the way that you have handled all of the adversity that I put on you. Your whole family is proud of you. Mom is proud of you, and Papa is proud of you. I see in letters, emails, and messages that people give to my attorneys how impressed people are with the way that you have carried yourself through all of this. I want you to remember that rational, reasonable thinking people never make as much noise as haters do. I want you to continue to tune them out and continue to be the bigger person as you have this whole time. I want you to continue to stay positive. And stay the course. I love you so much. And I am so proud of you.
Then he moves on to his family, naming more of them, by the way, than he did his victims, for the next 3 minutes.
Next, I'd like to address and speak to my mom, my brothers, my sister, my nieces and my nephews, who I love dearly, my aunts, uncles, cousins, the rest of my family. I am so sorry that I let each of you down. I am so sorry that I humiliated each of you. I am so sorry that I destroyed our family's reputation. With these terrible things that I have done. I am so sorry that my actions that I'm pleading guilty to here today somehow made people on social media and in the media think that it's okay to falsely attack 2 of the 3 best men that I've ever known. And that's my father and my grandfather. Two men who spent their life in service, helping others. Two men fully and wholly committed to justice. Two men who were most honest and most decent. And if they were here today, two men that would be devastated by what I have done. And you know that. And you know that.
Then he moves on to Maggie's family for 3 minutes and 49 seconds, in which he talks about how his actions have affected the health of Maggie's father.
Next, I want to apologize to my mother and father-in-law, although I hate the term in-law, as they have always treated me like one of their own. Also to my sister-in-law, Mag's sister, Marion, her husband, my brother-in-law, my nieces, who I adore. My aunts and uncles and cousins on Maggie's side. I'm so very sorry that I let you down. And I am so very sorry that I humiliated you. And I am so very sorry. And I had Buster, back to this, that I have negatively affected Max and Pawpaw's memory. And legacy. I also apologize because I know, and I know in my heart, the actions that I am pleading guilty to here today, and the stress from all of that, contributed to the health issues of the third of the three best men that I know. Pop tea.
No, Alex, your financial crimes didn't do that. Murdering his daughter did that.
I think about it every day, how my actions have affected him and all of you. And it eats a hole in me.
But it's interesting, for all the time he spends on all of these family members, not one of them cared enough to show up to support him. Next, he goes to Randy, who gets his own 4 minutes and 11 seconds. He has to bring up his addiction again, of course, like it's some kind of get-out-of-jail-free card. He uses it every time the guilt starts to creep in, as if it absolves him of his crime somehow.
Next. And I'm sorry, this is taking longer than I had anticipated. Next is my brother Randy. I say that I am sorry to you because I know for a fact that the actions that I'm pleading guilty to here today have caused you terrible, terrible problems. I am so sorry that my actions alone, have caused you to be so wrongly and falsely attacked and that my actions have caused your integrity to so wrongly be questioned? Because I know, and those who know you know, that you are, without a doubt, one of the most honest and high integrity people that's ever walked this earth. And I hate that the things that I have done have somehow made that an issue for you. I will challenge any negative-minded person as it pertains to Randy to go and find one single person, anywhere, who truly knows you, or who truly knows him, who doesn't have an ulterior motive, to tell you that he's not one of the most honest people that they've ever known. And I am so sorry that I went to such lengths to hide my addiction and my criminal actions from you, because I know that you would have helped me before things got so out of control.
Then, the longest of them all, the law firm gets 8 full minutes. Johnny and Danny get mentioned by name, and here's where he sheds the most tears of all, because Alex can only ever cry for Alex.
Next. Apologize to my law partners. Danny, the only one I see here. I assume you're the only one here. Talk to you as hard as it is. I am so sorry that I have caused so much trouble for people that I love so much. I love you, and I love each of you. I'm sorry I let you down. I'm sorry that I humiliated each of you. I'm sorry that I caused you to have to go through what you've been through. I'm sorry that I destroyed our law firm, a law firm that you know, that I dearly love. And I'm sorry I let you down. I'm sorry that I caused each of you to be questioned. Every one of you is not only one of the best lawyers that I've ever been around, but the best people that I've ever been around. Such good, such compassion, such smart, such giving. And such decent people. And I, again, am so sorry that I went to such great lengths to hide my addiction, and to hide.
A special shout out to this woman right here who's feeling what we're all feeling when he keeps going on and on about his addiction and all these other people instead of the reason that he's supposed to be here today.
My criminal acts from each of you. I know you would have helped me before things got so out of control. There's no doubt in my mind. I say, Johnny, that he was a great mentor to all of us. I learned so many good things from him. I am sorry that I failed him. I hope one day that Johnny will listen to this so that he will know how much I miss him, and I miss our chats, and he'll know what I'm talking about. Danny? They don't make enough good words for me to accurately depict how I feel about you. And you know the things that you helped me through. And you know how you helped Maggie. When she didn't think she had anywhere else to turn concerning her son. I hope you know how special you are. To me, especially. But also to Buster for all you've done. mean it when I tell you that it hurts me so much to know that I have disappointed you. And I know that that is an understatement.
He misses his law firm and everything that came with being a part of it. His name used to mean something, and he destroyed it. And that seems to be what he's the saddest about. He didn't cry like this for anyone but himself. He takes the next minute to attack SLED, saying that because of his financial crimes, that's the reason he was found guilty for murder, and that they didn't go out and find the real killers.
I now apologize to every single person who cares about Maggie and about Paul, because I know that the things that I did, that I'm pleading guilty here today, allowed SLED and the Attorney General's office to focus on me and not to pursue the person or the people who hurt and killed Maggie and Paul. And I am so sorry for that.
And he spends 1:40 speaking to his victims in general.
To each one of you, and to those who might be listening, who are not here, I want to reiterate again just how sorry I am. I want to try to make sure to look at each one of you right now, so that hopefully when you leave here, you will know and believe that I was sincere in my hopes that you understand how much I care about you and how sorry I am for the things that I have done. I'm still, as I said, after a lot of reflection, I'm still not sure how I let myself get where I did, where I could do the things that I did to all you people that I care about.
Then he spends 2.5 minutes on an addiction commercial. And here's where it turns into the Oscars. You'd think that he was up there accepting an award for his performance or something. He mentions his days sober, and he spends a minute thanking his fans and supporters who write him letters, followed by another 1.5 minutes talking about him being committed to being a better person.
I'd like to say to any and everyone who's suffering from addiction, please get professional help. Don't let pride get in your way the way I did. I had people who loved me, who tried to help me. Many, many more people who I know would have helped me. I had resources, I had access to more resources, and I still couldn't beat it. I tried many times. It's just too hard. I say, please get professional help. I'm very proud, as I stand here today, to be 812 days clean. But I didn't do it soon enough. Please get help now. There are so many wonderful facilities out there with professional people who care and who do wonderful work. I would like to say a special thank you to the people at Evolve Recovery Rehabilitation Center and at Sunrise Detox for all the wonderful care that they gave me. Every single day, I utilize the processes that they taught me, and I use the tools that they gave me in hopes that tomorrow I can add another day to my total. Lastly, I want to thank the men and women who have sent me letters, emails, and given messages to my attorneys with genuine messages of support. They mean more to me than you could possibly know, and I appreciate it. Last thing I want to say, Your Honor, is that I am fully committed to trying to be a better person. I'm going to do as much good as possible and help as many people as I can while I'm incarcerated. I remain fully and wholeheartedly committed to finding a way to somehow make those who love me proud again in some small way.
And I just thought about the things we know from his prison calls that he's doing in prison. Gambling with canteen items, pressuring his family to put money on his own canteen and on other people's canteens so he can abuse the canteen system and get extra for himself, smuggling out statements to be put in documentaries, breaking prison rules. He's limited to what he can do, but Alex is still breaking the rules that he can get away with breaking. And those things are based on greed. They're all self-serving. Pestering Buster about games and scores so he can gamble on them with beef sticks. Becoming a better person, Alex? By continuing to put your needs and wants over other people's? Abusing the system? Breaking the rules? I don't think so. And then he gives his victims in general another 30 seconds.
I appreciate each of you talking to me. I appreciate each of you looking at me while I'm talking to you. I can tell that you're listening, and I appreciate it. I'm going to say one more time, I hope you know, I hope you believe that it is heartfelt. And two things that I hope you take away today are, number one, that I care about you, and number two, that I hate the things that I did, and I am so sorry. And Your Honor, I thank you for letting me address you and for letting me address the victims. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
So there's some dead air spaces in there, and it's almost 50 minutes broken down like this. 17 to his victims, Again, only 4 mentioned by name. 17.5 minutes on family, 10 minutes on his law firm, and 5 on what I call the Oscars portion. So, the 17 minutes the victims got, he spent almost double that time addressing other issues. I'm not really surprised. I didn't really expect him to speak as long as he spoke. But to me, his speech was just full of him being self-serving. Like I said earlier, him saying things that he's wanted to say for a long time. He wanted to address the haters. He wanted to praise Buster. He wanted to try to repair his family name somehow. He wanted to try to repair his law firm somehow. And he wanted to talk about himself. Judge Newman did accept a plea deal, so the 27-year sentence stands, of which he must serve 85%, which comes out to just shy of 23 years. But like I said, you know I'm going to deep dive this like crazy, but I wanted to get at least this part out for you today. Thanks so much for listening to my irksome rants. And as always, this is Cassidy O'Connell saying stay well and stay tuned.